today we are going to react to a video that's been recommended to me on YouTube just now called The Greatest Sports Manga You've Never Heard of. Now, I read manga, I watch anime. Obviously, the big sports anime manga you probably know of is either Blue Lock or Haikyuu, with maybe the other football manga that's getting an anime, I think, this year. Ayo no Hoshi. I Ayo Hoshi, something like that. Now, obviously, this sports isn't just football and volleyball. There's but obviously that one basketball manga that was made by the same author as Vagabond, I'm pretty sure. There's obviously other sports, but this video has been recommended to me. It's got 22k views, made 12 days ago. Yeah, let's see if I've heard of this sports manga or not.
The greatest sports mangas, the same names always pop up. Slam Dunk, Haikyuu.
That's it. Slam Dunk's the basketball one. Haikyuu is the volleyball one, and then Blue Lock's the soccer or football.
Lock. But what if I told you there was a better story out there? One which
Better?
perfectly captures what a sports manga should be. One that is definitely the best sports manga I've ever read. Ryu Ichijo is a footballing prodigy, stated to be the vessel for the king of football.
Okay, so it's
He's acknowledged by
football
everyone in
manga.
his area of Saitama Prefecture. And even those from other prefectures have the idea that there's this one kid who stands out even among the best in his age group. But then a disaster happens and it all disappears. One day after training, Ryu is walking home with his two twin neighbors and close friends Yuki and Yuto when a speeding car is about to hit Yuto.
No.
Ryu pulls him to safety. That is to the expense of his own health.
So he sacrificed.
This road happened to be right beside a long staircase where the kids so happened to be walking up, and Ryu fell from the top, breaking his spine.
So he didn't get hit. Okay, I thought he got hit by the car. He pulled his friend, but in doing that, there's of course there's a staircase behind him.
And a plethora of other bones. He would never be the same again. Despite being told that from his doctor, he never gives up his dream of becoming a professional and a Japan representative. Without giving away too much, the story basically follows Ryu through his rehabilitation, his struggle of getting back into competitive football through middle school, and then once again reaching that peak during high school. B-Blues as a story is one I think can be very inspiring. It's a sports story which is unique but doesn't...
Bees Blue. Yes, this is something I've never heard of. Bees Blue, that's the title. I might have to tap into this. This is apparently the great by this guy. Okay? Not my opinion. I'm just watching it. Hey, I've discovered a new manga. I'll be looking into reading it. Eventually, once I finish all these other mangas I'm reading.
Do way too much. What I mean is that many sports mangas love following an underdog story where the main character is new to the sport.
Yeah, underdog story. When you see a smaller person be better than the ones more pop. Yeah, it's true.
He's on a weak team. We rarely see them be the very best.
Let's be honest, right? Are you gonna read a manga about someone being the best already? Someone that's gonna, you gotta have struggles. That's what people love entertainment. And it's more entertaining to see struggles in someone.
Ryu is both at the same time. He is the best, and then later on becomes the best once again, following that underdog story through his growth of reaching that height and developing from zero. This development is also not going from A to B and then back to A. Instead, it follows Ryu going from A to B and then to C. Hopefully that makes sense, but if it doesn't, Ryu doesn't just return to his old self. He continues to move forward and understands that he won't be the same, but he must continue.
So he accepts that he's gonna be different now. I see.
To move forward and then reaches a new peak which he wouldn't have if not for the accident. Ryu must make changes to his path even if he wishes for his goal to stay the same. He becomes a striker. Even though he does still playmake, he initially can't act as he always did. And then the moment where he truly seems like he's back, he actually isn't. He's on a higher level. And I know that might seem
higher level
because his first peak was when he was a kid, so obviously he would be better. But the point is that the peak he reaches isn't one that was seen or expected by those around him. And I feel this is what makes the story so refreshing. It's different enough from your average underdog story, but not too far different from the norm. If we look at some of the most popular sports mangas and the ones that are most commonly stated to be the greatest, we can see how it differs. Slam Dunk follows Sakuragi, a delinquent who's new to basketball and joins the Shohoku basketball team.
I've heard about Slam Dunk, but I've never read about it. So it's a delinquent. getting into basketball.
in all of Japan and an underdog in its own prefecture, being held up only by this one star player called Akagi. If we look at Kuroko's basketball, Kuroko is a player who isn't particularly dominant on his own, playing alongside an underdog squad such as Seirin. Haikyuu centers around Karasuno, the fallen giant, a team
Karasuno, the Fallen Giant.
that is
Again, I've heard about Haikyuu, but never watched it or read it yet.
no longer respected in the space. Blue Lock starts with Isagi losing
I am watching the anime. I'm up to episode 13 of the anime, so I know about this anime manga.
at the Nationals qualifiers at an unknown school, and then when he joins Blue Lock, he's ranked 299th. But B Blues is different. Ryu wasn't chasing the top, he was already there. While everyone else was trying to catch up to him, he was already looking beyond that stage. He wanted to become a professional and represent Japan. Then in an instant, he lost everything and had to forge a new path forward back to the top. It encompasses
Damn.
some aspects of the underdog story, but puts it in a very refreshing way. If we look
I
at
like so it's a unique. It takes a derivative idea, the underdog story, but it enhances it by adding a little bit of a twist by making them an underdog, but they were already actually at the top. But now he's an underdog and he has to rebuild himself kind of back at the top. But when he does that, he actually gets even better. I like that. Taking derivative ideas, generic ideas, but enhancing them and making the unique
Blues
twist.
at a very surface level. It has great art which is simple to understand.
Great art. That's good. Art, again, the story has to be good, but the art also has to be pretty good to actually look at it. I'll say watch it. Look at the art. Actually be not entertained, but astonished, I guess. I wouldn't say excited. What's the word? Like, when you look at art, I guess astonished. And, yeah, I can't think of any other
It
words.
depicts plays and emotions beautifully. Matches are both written well and high. Moments outside of the matches are also deep and explore the pains of things not moving according to plans, no matter how hard you try. It also explores players understanding their limits, and above all else, we see the constant idea that we must just accept to move on. One specific
on.
part that stands out to me as one of my favorites is when we see Ryu finally express his pain. Since the start, Ryu has always been a character who's been shown to be mentally strong, always seeing the good in situations and always knowing that he must move forward even if it means changing his plan. No matter what, that has always been a constant. In other words, Ryu was him. If you needed motivation, you looked towards him. He took
He's that guy. I
For
see.
better or
He's
worse, he was the star. And
someone
this
that
is
wouldn't
where we
show
get
weakness.
One of my favorite panels. Why am I in so much agony? Although it may be simple, I personally think it's beautiful. Ryu Ichijo is still human, and I'm trying my best to
Yeah,
explain
not a
the
robot.
story and demonstrate my love for the
He
story
wouldn't
without
show
giving away too many
weakness and
details, because
emotions.
I do want you all to read it. And although
I think that's pretty
some of the
common.
events may strain
I think it's pretty common though for especially men not to show emotions, try to be strong, and then there'll be it kind of adds up. It's like the kettle analogy, it builds up and the kettle keeps on boiling and boiling and boiling up to a certain temperature where it just explodes. That's how I'm perceiving this.
in the points. I'd much prefer you guys take a chance and trust what I say and go into the story blind, because this truly is one of the best sports mangas you can read. The side characters and the antagonists in this story is also something I think is done well. Although not being too heavily delved into, I think there are many lessons to take and many likable characters. If I were to speak
Okay.
of all the characters I like, this video may never end, so I'm going to take the time to only speak on one. Komei is a third-year midfielder who breaks into the team thanks to Ryu's revolutionary thinking, but he is an insanely valuable component. Komei is a hard worker, but he's also a realist. He loves football and he's worked hard ever since first year and endured many challenges to finally become a starter. But towards the end of the story, when some players are beginning to attract offers from professional clubs, Komei expresses how he's done with playing. He's not angry, he's not sad, he's satisfied. Komei to me demonstrates the idea that working hard can get you to where you want, but that doesn't mean you are now trapped into only doing one thing. He acknowledges that despite still having potential to go pro through a university path, he's satisfied with ending his playing career here. He's willing to move forward, and although I'm not going to speak about them in that much depth, I need to throw them in there. Some
no
honorable
spoilers, no
mentions.
spoilers.
Ryota, Noah, Lennon, Sakuraba, the older Takatora brother, and Tatsuhiko are also very good characters in this story.
Okay.
Now, I do want to touch up on some slight issues that people highlight with this story. The first being that there's an unfinished romance subplot. The story sets up two characters as potential love interests for Ryu. The first being Yuki, the childhood friend who supported him throughout everything.
The childhood friend, classic. I mean, I don't mind unfinished romance relationships. I like it. Sometimes I don't like it, but sometimes, more often than not, I'm more inclined to have it leave it up in the air and have people make theories about it. I think it opens more endings because people theorize more things.
The second being Eto, a girl in Ryu's class who acts as a translator for their team coach and wants to see the wider world. Obviously, the only valid pick should have been Yuki, but it never actually gets concluded, and the reason may be tied to the second. The ending can seem rushed. B Blues ends slightly abruptly. I like the ending, I definitely don't think it's bad. I actually think it's a good ending, and appropriate for the story, building on a lot of the ideas which the story expresses, moving on and changing your plan if you must to reach your goal. I definitely feel like there could have been a lot more to the story, and I definitely wish there was, but I don't think it's bad in the slightest. B Blues is an extremely enjoyable read from start to finish, even on the third read through, with a goated main character in Ryu Ichijo who you can stand to learn a lot from. His resilience to continue moving forward despite the constant setbacks genuinely makes him one of my favorites in all of sports manga and in all of manga just in general. The art is great, the matches are hype, the story is beautiful, the characters are strong. B Blues isn't just a story about achieving your dreams like a lot of these other sports mangas. It's about refusing to abandon it when life forces you to change your path. To me, it's the greatest sports manga, and it's insane how underappreciated it is. If you haven't read it and you've made it this far into the video, obviously you must go and read it.
Okay, well, my thoughts on that little discussion. I can't really say it's the best. I've not read it. I've just heard about it. But I like the reasonings. He gives the reasons on why he believes it's the greatest, but he also gives reasons why people don't like it or people have issues with it. I like the idea of, I think in all, not, I don't know if it's all, but most stories, especially in like sports, you like the underdog story in whatever way. But this is a twist. It actually starts off with him being the best already at a young age, but obviously he runs into a massive obstacle with that life-threatening injuries, and then had to drop to the lowest and start as an underdog again, I guess. I don't know if he was ever an underdog, but he had to then become an underdog. And then he obviously rose up. And from my understanding, he actually became better than what he was. He actually reached higher peaks. I love football. I'm a football fan. I'm a massive football fan. Obviously, I reacted on my previous reaction video to Lamine Yamal. So I'm a massive football fan. And I like the idea of he was the best. But then he had an obstacle and he had to rebuild himself again. But he actually became better. So this has taken a peak interest. I don't know how many, again, I'll look into this. I don't know how many chapters this is. I don't know how long this will take me, but maybe one day I'll tell you if I actually believe this is the greatest sports manga. Obviously, I would have to read other sports mangas to know if this is the greatest. But I think one thing that takes interest into me already is it's football. I love football. I read anything about football. So yeah, you know what? I'll begin reading this when I can. That's for sure.